Three, two, one. What is going on, everybody? It is another episode of The Boys on the Boys with your hosts, RDV and me, Ash. RDV, how you doing, man? Good to see you.
How are you going? How's it going over there, me Ash?
Me, Ash. Me. Ah, man, it's been a day. I went to the DMV today,
I
and
heard.
I don't know what it's like. Well, I do know what it's like, because in Colorado, the DMV was really painless. So I'm assuming in most non screwed up states like mine that the DMV is not terrible, but in California DMV, no, it was about an hour and a half process to get my title changed over because
You
I
know,
bought a
I
I
al- I
bought a
almost
car.
as many times I've been screwed over by the DMV, I almost thought about working for them. Just so I get that joy to know that I'm not the one being screwed over. It's
Oh,
like because I'm just thinking like there's people come in, they don't even do the research. They just come in and are like, oh, I need this. Or like, no, you need this, this, this. Or he's like, really? It's like he
dude,
must be
that
new.
happened to me. That happened to me today, literally. I had forgotten to fill out the back of the pink slip. So I had all these forms. Like there's all these different things. I went on the website, California, you need like a bill of sale, you need to have this smog certificate, you need to have this request for transfer form filled out. Like there's all these different things and I was just filling out everything and I brought it and I showed up to the window, my number got called and they're like, oh, what are you doing? And I was like, I need the transfer. Like, hey, it's like, give me the forms. And I was like, well, what do you need? I just brought everything. And they're like, well, so I just started handing stuff. And then she's like, oh, you didn't fill this out. She takes my like tag because when you go to the California DMV, they like
Yeah.
make like a tag for you and like give you a number and all this stuff. So she starts going. She's like, you got to go through and thing again. And I was like, oh, damn it! So I got to wait all over again. But she was just like so callous about it. I was like, look, I didn't know. And it took me like 60 seconds to fill out the paperwork. I get that we're not going to hold up the line for me, but seriously, you could have just called the next person and I could have sit to the side and filled it out real quick and then I could have slipped right back after that person, right? No one would have missed a beat. But because it's such bureaucracy, they had to go through I had to go through another line and then wait to be called in that line and all this stuff. And I was like, anyway, so I got through it. I was relieved. It wasn't as terrible as I thought. I got to tell you, smart devices make DMV trips way less painless than they used to be. I'm so thankful. I just sat like listening to YouTube videos and playing on Twitter until my number was called. Um, but yeah, so and then I went to Costco and got myself $1.50 hot dog and a Coke because that's all I could afford after paying 10% tax on my car.
You know,
Uh,
if you splurge a little bit, you can get some beans.
yeah, man, but the Costco deal is great. Anyone has a Costco nearby,
Dude,
dude.
you wouldn't believe how many times I growing up, that's all we had. Like you got what's for supper? Hot dogs and beans, or it's Franken beans. You know?
I loved Frankenbeans as a kid. But seriously, Costco uses like the good the those kosher, the Hebrew National dogs. So they're really good, like quality. Um and then you get a refillable soda. It's $1.50. Like you can't ask for more than that. Like that's my cheapo lunch. And then so then I did some shopping afterwards and they got 4.99 rotisserie chickens and I was like, "Hell yeah." I was like, "I don't even have to cook dinner." Um
Walmart is grabbing or eat it rather.
right there. No. But dude, the grocery store, like the chickens are up to like $8, I think. So
Jeez.
it's going out of control. I saw the steaks. I walked by. I was like, "Ooh, steaks!" Not that I can afford them, but and there was like 13.99 a pound. Jesus, I was like, "What the fuck?" I'm
That
telling you,
that's
man, that
that's
we are not going to be able to afford to eat meat in the future.
well, that's because the vegans don't want us to. That's just all it's a conspiracy by them. To
Oh,
raise the
it's because of
price of
cow
cows.
farts. They cause climate change, and we're all going to die because of cow farts. I mean, thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of animals being on the planet farting, but now it's because they're gonna whatever. Don't want to get started on that. That was my
Don't
adventure.
don't worry, we'll survive somehow.
Oh, and another thing, that's what I'm drinking. The whole point to lead to my story was Costco has a great liquor aisle. Maybe I don't know, not every state lets stores sell liquor, but if you're in a state where your government's not stupid and like Colorado, when I moved there, like you could only buy liquor at a liquor store, and I was like, what the f? Like what? But it actually turned out to be kind of cool. I kind of grew to like it because what happens when you can only sell liquor in liquor stores is there's a lot of liquor stores and they're like mondo awesome big because they don't have to compete with the grocery chains. Like in California, liquor stores are like little hole in the walls that sell like nothing, but because you could just go to, I mean, you could buy beer at Walmart, but um, yeah. So I went to the Costco and they had the cool liquor, but they had 24 packs of you may not be familiar with this, but it's a popular Mexican beer out here in SoCal, Estrella Jalisco. I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. My gringo.
Estrella, that sounds like the other one that's like, like imported. Oh. Or Estella? Am I thinking of
No,
something?
you're thinking of the Stella Artois that I
Yeah,
drink.
I think of that one. It's
No,
I
this
thought
is called Estrella. I can't roll the L's. This is so tough. It's double L.
Estrella.
Estrella, and then it's
Estrella.
Jalisco
Estrella.
because it's that J. You got
Ali-
to pronounce like an H. Jalisco. And
It's
it's a real popular beer, but I never get it because I know people are gonna roll their eyes at people like beer, but I'm a kind of a Corona guy. But it's pretty
I was
good.
gonna,
Anyways,
I was
it's
gonna
20.
say I was surprised
Go ahead.
that when people bring up Mexican beer, it's like Corona. It's literally, or
Actually,
it's
I'm not as much of a
Dos
Corona guy
Equis.
anymore. To be honest, actually, I forgot. I'm a Modelo guy.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, Modelo, or it's Dos Ex, whatever that is.
Dos Equis.
Dos Equis, I guess. Let's
Dos
see.
Equis. Um, yeah. So this is Estrella Jalisco is pretty good, but it was 24 pack. It was 19.99. I had to do a double take because my grocery store sells this for 17.99 normally as a 12 pack. And so I've been considering picking it up, and I'm like, I don't really want to spend 18 plus California CRV. They charge you for anything that comes in a bottle or a can, so you end up paying like it'll be like $20, for a 12 pack. And I was like, oh, but it was like $20 for a 24 pack. I was like, score! I got my chicken and my beer, and then the Costco potato salad, which if anyone knows Costco, um, and you like potato salad, they sell a brand of potato salad that's like the best store bought potato salad I've ever had, and it's cheap. But
So
anyways,
I'm not a fan of store bought uh certain foods. I like homemade.
I usually am not either. I'm 100% with you. I'm like, especially store bought potato salad. I always like, dude, you got to make it homemade. The store
There's
bought stuff
German, and
tastes,
there's so many different versions. There's American classic, there's German, and just like,
and they always have like a
where
weird aftertaste. Like they put
that's the
something in it that you're like, I don't know if it's preservatives or what, but I'm always like, oh. So I've always
I
been like, no, but this stuff, yes. And it's only like $7 for like a gallon of potato salad. Um, Marani is in the chat saying Mariko Tamaki's entered the chat, so we gotta we gotta stop. I'm to blame.
I mean,
Um,
we could go into the weeds and just since you're a California-based channel.
I was just excited, man. I got like a really good deal.
So
I got
hungry,
chicken and my potato salad and my beer.
man.
That's all.
I got
Uh,
chicken and beer. I'm all set.
Dude, $4.99 for a whole chicken that's already cooked for you. Like you can't even buy a raw chicken for that price. Like, I'm trying to tell you,
I'm
Venkman.
just thinking, dude. I'm just thinking because you're in California, it's like a baby chick. It's not even a whole chicken. It's like
This
for
is
four
it's a
dollars.
Cornish
It's a
game
little,
hen.
yeah. It's
Oh man. All right. So we are here talking about the boys. And you know what? I didn't mind going in the weeds a little bit because last episode we did this, we had to like cover the entire up until now. So there was a lot to get through. This one we're just covering one episode. So I think we're going to have a lot quicker time going about it. I want to say hello to some of the people in the chat. Miss So, Ed Brewer's in the chat, Mirandi is in the chat. Good to see you guys. Thanks for coming over. And hopefully we're not going to spoil. If there's any lurkers that I haven't seen, hello to you too. Feel free to chime in. Please throw in your comments or questions. We'll, probably since we have more time this episode, since we're only covering one thing, we'll be able to address questions more. Last time we were just on such a crunch, we didn't have as much time. So
when I talk. Tight schedule, boys.
Tight, super tight. Jimmy says he's here too. Hey, Jimmy and HR, good to see you. Um, all right, so I guess where we start off, I guess first quick impressions. Like, no, we'll save the details for later. But what'd you think about this episode?
Uh, I mean, after the last episode, I wasn't sure what we're gonna go with this, how it's gonna end. I'm like, because I'm in that thing where I read the comics first, and then I'm like, I know they're going over from the comic books, but I'm thinking like, what more could they do that make it more twisted, more messed up than the comic books already are? So it's always pleasantly surprising when when we get to like the ending of this, and all the way through the episode. So yeah, I mean, it actually turned out to be good. I'm just confused though because of how they ended. It's like, what's going on with season 4?
Dude, that
That's my
ending threw me for a loop.
Yeah,
I
because
was
I was like, I didn't know what was gonna go on.
yeah. There was a
Uh,
couple of key scenes in that ending that I was just like, what?
I mean,
oh,
and the way they do it though is very creative though. It's like because it's they could easily just cop out and be like, oh yeah, come back next season. No, but they actually just like A Train, they got their A game throughout this episode.
yeah. Some people have been saying that it's anticlimactic. Did you feel that this end episode was anticlimactic?
I think those people are saying because a certain person didn't die. Now,
Uh,
and I think it would have ended the show. If it almost feels like they're stretching out, because they literally could have just 'cause they have no more big bad guy. You know, Homelander is their main bad guy. Who would they get to replace him?
correct. Now, this is a good time to just give the public disclaimer.
Yeah.
Should be obvious, but I just want to make sure it's clear because I do hate spoiling, but this will be heavily spoilers. So if you have not seen
So
The Boys and you intend to, please spare yourself because I got to tell you, this is one of the most intense plot driven shows I've watched in a long time where it's just constantly like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? I'm on the edge of my seat so much that it would still be entertaining. I watched the show again today to just to like be more up to speed on the details of what happened, and I did thoroughly enjoy it. So it does hold up on a rewatch even though you know it's going to happen. But I got to tell you that initial watch where you're just not sure, like I'm just gripped. I love that feeling, and so I don't want anyone else to miss out. And if you think, "Oh, I'm never going to watch this show," so go ahead and spoil it to me. I'm going to assume that you're a grown adult and you can make your own decisions, and I'm not going to tell you how to live.
also,
Um,
it's been kind of pointed out before. If you're watching a review about a show that you haven't watched, you probably shouldn't watch it because it'd be kind of pointless to not use spoilers. Be like, hey, do you like the show? Sure, it was great. All right, next.
Well, I mean, it is
Because
possible to review things without spoiling, but this is like a recap. Like we want to talk about the
yeah,
details. It's more than a review. It's
well, the reason I hate non-spoiler reviews because it very limits what you cannot talk about, and sometimes the best parts are the ones you can't talk about. So what you're just like me, like I just want to talk about it, but someone's like, I haven't watched it. I'm like, get out of the room, talk about it.
yeah. This is
You know?
really this show we're doing is really intended mostly for people who have watched it also, and
Yeah.
everyone to throw in their feedback. So again, in the chat, by all means, put in your 2 cents. We want to hear it. And if you have questions or if you, things like that, put in that too. Um,
So kick your
I
feet
did,
up, have
I
a
did,
beer.
I did think it was a little anticlimactic, but
I can see it. Yeah,
that's only because last season was so climactic,
yeah, it was,
right? Like
and
you
the
were
way,
just like,
yeah,
oh my God. Look, spoiler, Homelander doesn't die, but honestly,
no,
it would have been a mistake to kill him.
well, exactly. I agree with you because I
He
was
is
saying
go ahead.
he's the big bad guy. I don't see
Yes.
any unless if they not introduced anybody worse than him other
Well,
than Soldier Boy.
they could have made Soldier Boy. That's kind of what I was thinking was going to happen this
Yeah,
season. Was like they would end up killing Homelander, and they'd be like, "Yay!" And it's like, "Oh, but now we have someone worse."
and then
Like
Soldier Boy takes his place.
right, something like that. That's what I was kind of thinking was
But
going
I
to
don't
happen.
think that could work though because a Soldier Boy is painted as a terrorist, and like in having to go and especially killing Homelander. But I mean, like, I don't think that would work. I mean, obviously, maybe they have something. They've been so far. They've been creative with stuff. They probably could have come up with something like that. But I don't know. I'm kind of happy with the way it ended. But I mean, also, yeah, it is very anticlimactic because everything happens, and then you get this little epilogue. I'm thinking like, okay, what are they gonna do for season 4? Because this ending was not that big. You know, it was very. It was. Yeah, it was anticlimactic. But like I said, Homelander is still alive, but I mean, but I loved how they in this episode they changed things as far as like in the beginning of the season, you remember, or no, I think it was it was and it was last season. Homelander has Ryan, Ryan goes with him. In this season, Ryan goes with Homelander. It's like it's very. I like how they just take old scenes and redo them from a different point of view. It's like they just change a little bit of things. Uh, Everything. I mean, yes, there's a lot of swearing, there's a lot of gore in this, but it's just so great dialogue and just great storytelling. And it's one of the few shows that I've watched in a while that actually has kept me coming back for like the seasons. So I mean, like, and you know me, I'm a person that likes to binge watch, so it's really killing me just to have to wait.
Oh. I am weak-willed, so I will binge watch when it's an opportunity. But
Right?
I'm so happy when they don't let me binge watch because I will. But if you force me not to, I will wait and then I will be thankful afterwards. I'm so glad that I got what, like 5 weeks out of this. I would have just watched this in one night and been done with it, and I would have had a good one night. But I instead I had 5 good nights. So and
Well, I mean, I watched 7 seasons of Bosch Legacy, but it took me like 2 or 3 weeks to finish it because it was a slow moving, but it was great though. Not as fast paced as The Boys is. The Boys is a completely comic book,
yeah.
crazy off the wall fun.
Well, a good
Or the other,
example too is Reacher, another Prime show. I binge
yep.
watched Reacher because when I found out about it, I was like, "Oh, I'll try this out." Turned out to be really great. Watched like all 8 episodes in like a day or two, and it was super fun. I enjoyed it, and then I just kind of moved on. I was like, "Oh, it's done." Like I like immersing myself in it and being like not just coming and going so quick. Like I said, I'll do it because I'm weak-willed, but I prefer if you kind of hold me back and say, "Nope, you gotta wait." And I'm like, "God damn you!" Because it's like
Yeah,
being a kid.
Reacher.
I would have opened my presents on December 1st if I could, but I was forced to wait until December 25th, and it sucked until I got to December 25th, and then made it all worth it.
Yeah, and I've talked to Breen about this. Reacher is one of those shows where it's 8 episodes and it was perfect. It didn't need to be 6. It didn't need to be 10. It was perfect. The number I had. And The Boys, just like that, is a perfect number for 8. And I think Amazon's really hitting the ball, uh, you know, far with this because when you put out good shows that people can come back and what was it? I think Reacher was actually one a week too. I don't think it was out once, was it? I think you had the first 3, just like The Boys,
I don't
and then you
know.
had
I
the
didn't catch it right away because I was
oh,
like,
you didn't?
"Whatever, it's
Yeah.
Like I was like, "It's Reacher,
No,
whatever." And then people were
but
like, "It's really good," and I was like, "You know what? I'll try it." And by that time, it was already all out.
But but holy crap, though, man! Amazon Prime's been kicking ass as far as everything they've had. The shows they had: Invincible, The Boys,
Oh yeah,
Reacher.
they have.
I mean,
They've been
uh, I watched the other one. I said Bosch Legacy and or Bosch, and then now the spinoff show Bosch Legacy. Been watching that. Uh, then now they got this new one, The Terminal List, which
I've
is quite
heard a lot
interesting.
of good things about Terminal List. That's like really, I think that's one to watch next. But
Yep.
let's not get too in the weeds. Let's get on to
Oh,
the boys because that's what people are here for. Um, let's go ahead and start breaking down the episode. It opens up with the scene of our little friend, little Ryan, Homelander's son. He's throwing baseballs. I don't know why. He's like throwing them across the town. And then Homelander
yeah.
shows up and we get a
I
kind
think
of an interesting scene. It's a really good scene to open up the episode.
I think the reason they showed him throwing the baseball is because or remind people that he has powers at this
Sure.
point.
Okay, that's a fair point. And I also think
Yeah,
it was to kind of serve to show his loneliness. Like this is like the
yeah,
typical like playing catch with your dad, except you don't have a dad,
Yeah.
so you're just like
Up
throwing it to nothing.
up until this point, we've only seen the heat vision. Remember when when he cut Homefront
Correct.
or whatever Stormfront, whatever it is, he cut her in half with heat vision or
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah, and then
But
so to show that he's also got super strength now. So what
yeah.
else does he? Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool. They're just showing you, right? Like, hey, he's getting his powers. He's at that age. He's becoming invincible.
So this was actually one of my favorite
Yeah.
scenes in the whole episode, especially on the rewatch.
Yep.
This kid, so he faces Homelander, and Homelander's kind of like, hey buddy, like how you doing? And I'm like, what's gonna happen? Holy shit, like because Homelander hasn't up to this point hasn't known where he's at. He's been hiding, and the kid's like, I thought you were mad at me, and you're just like, what? And and then Homelander's plays like the good dad. He's like, no man, this wasn't your fault. Like I'm here for you, and like now we as an audience know that he's like a total psychopath, but
You know, yeah.
to
Remember what he said
Ryan's
though?
perception, he's his
Yeah.
dad and he's being nice, and the way that this kid plays it, like his quivering lip, like you can just sense the loneliness of like him just being a boy who's lost. He's got nobody. He lives with this old lady in the middle of a wilderness. His mom's dead. He thinks his dad hates him. Butcher has left him to rot. And now he's just like, and all of a sudden his dad shows up, like literally Superman shows up, and he's like, "Oh no, no, man, you're my son. I love you. I'm always gonna love you, no matter what." And it's like answering his prayers. you know, I
Yeah, he said it's not your fault. You know, we have these powers now. They're ants to us. You'll make mistakes, but you'll learn, that's it's okay. I'm
yeah,
thinking like Homelander, he's such twisted like dad talk to him is just like, it's okay, son. They're peons. You can kill as much as you want.
I
It's like,
honestly think that this scene makes a strong argument for Butcher being the villain
yep.
because Butcher put the kid in this situation. Like he had nobody.
Well, Butcher blew up at him. Remember?
Right. Not only did he blow up at him, but then Butcher like leaves him. Is basically like, I don't want to see you again. Like, dude, traumatize this kid, this poor kid, right? And so now the only person who cares about him, who loves him, is the psychopath Homelander, which he doesn't see as a psychopath because he's a kid. He doesn't have a frame of reference. He's just like, oh, this is my dad. He loves me. This is my this is my role model. This is who I'm supposed to like be like. This is his blueprint, if you will, right? And so all the things, like it's just so scary to watch, to be like, yes, Homelander's evil, but we know that as an adult. If you're a kid who doesn't have a frame of reference of like right and wrong and what we should do, and you're just trying to find your way in the world, that's what your parents are supposed to be. Like they're your guide. They're like, oh, okay, you tell me I'm supposed to do this, okay. And it's just like, man, it makes me kind of hate Butcher because I'm like, dude, you done effed up. you you
Yeah. To
this
be
is where
fair
you
though,
messed up. You left this kid.
this kid has been raised, and I don't think he knows right from wrong really that much.
I don't know. I think because Butcher's wife was raising him, and I think she was being a good, kind-hearted mom.
Trying as much as she could. Remember she didn't have full control, and then remember kids are so easily influenced.
For sure. Oh, I get
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
once she died, he's being raised by Grace, and she's like a cold-hearted CIA bitch. Like I'm sure he's not getting the love, the proper.
Well, no,
You
he's like, yeah, I'm with Aunt Grace. He's like, and he's you see Homelander just like he's ready to kill her.
Right.
Auntie
But
Grace.
the only thing he says about her is like, she's nice. You can tell there's not like a familial, right?
No, no.
It's more like she's my caretaker. She's nice to me. He doesn't feel like she's family. And Homelander, to your point, emphasizes that. It's like
Yeah.
she's not really your aunt. Like we're family. Oh, it sets up this whole show. I don't want to stick on this too long because we got a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
but yeah.
The
So
next we get to the protests at Vought. And this kind of sets up
well,
it's a
this was
really minor. Oh, that's really minor
uh,
scene, but it's important one for the end. So I'm just going to show a quick image of it. But there's basically two sides. It's the left and the right, and they're arguing, and there's the big protests, and some people have found out that because Starlight left a she made a video and said that Maeve was captured or whatever, and so people are like, oh, we need, and there's going to be a search warrant, and so that's happening, and then we find out, we go
Yeah.
into the building, and they're
So the little it's also to point out the protests. They're thinking like the people are crazy. Like they're trying to say like are the gods and guns like the MAGA got the red hat, something says like MAGA, and then you got the girls, the other ones wearing the yellow t-shirt says Starlight Me Too. You know,
yeah, yeah.
it's like wow, and they're just making both look bad no matter what side you like. It's just and the funniest thing is like you can tell this is made by somebody who doesn't know what Trump fans are.
It is
I don't
true.
blame.
We'll get to that at the end. I do have some comments about that. So they they basically the Vought people panic. We got to get Maeve out of here because there's a search warrant coming in. Homelander's nowhere to be found, and so they got to get Maeve out. And we cut over to the cabin. Huey's wonders if Soldier Boy is really gonna kill his own son, because that was the cliffhanger of the last episode. Is that
Yeah.
Homelander's Soldier Boy's son, and and Butcher's like, don't worry, like he knows Soldier Boy is not really his son. Um, and Again, some of these are just really quick scenes, and interrupt me if you think there's important anything to comment on. Um, they cut to transporting Maeve, and
And it's
she go ahead.
oh, the scene in her cell. Ashley and the Deep were not expecting this, and you see this gas being pumped into her cell. It's a homage basically to Soldier Boy. Remember the gas coming in,
Mm-hmm.
knocking him out.
Yeah, yeah.
So I
And
thought that
so she eventually wakes up, breaks out, kills everyone,
in
which I thought was kind of cool. We haven't got to see Maeve be
Wonder Woman.
badass. Really, she's been talking a lot, and she's kind of had to kowtow to Homelander, but she's a badass, and then this episode really gets to show you how badass she is. Then we cut over. This was one of my other favorite scenes. I really like this scene where is kind of really distraught because in the last episode he punched out her stepdad Patrick, and his whole deal. Frenchie's like, it's not a big deal, whatever, and he's like, no man, you don't get it. Like, my whole purpose is to keep this shit out of her life. Like I lost that. Like, and uh Frenchie kind of talks to him and is like, look man, essentially you got to tell your daughter the truth. Like, and he has a really good reason why. It's like, you're the best man I've ever known. Like, there's no reason to hide who you are. And Laz Alonso here just delivers a really great performance. That
Yeah,
was
I
super
love
emotional.
Frenchie's great.
And I love Frenchie too, but I mean, this was Laz Alonso's. He's like tearing up here. You don't get to see him
Mother
be
Milk.
vulnerable. Yeah, Mother Milk. You don't get to see him really vulnerable. But the scene of Frenchie, because remember, if you've been following the show, these two are at odds. They're like bitter rivals. Like, they don't like each other.
Well,
But
it's
over,
because Frenchie's a slob, and Mother Milk is an OCD when it comes to cleaning, and
sure,
they have
sure,
different
but
they
you
have different
wouldn't.
viewpoints.
At least I wouldn't expect Frenchie to be the guy comforting saying, "You're the greatest man I've ever known." Like,
It's usually Huey.
yeah, and so that really hits home for this character. Then we cut over to Ashley and the Deep trying to explain to Homelander that, well, we had to move Maeve because, they were going to get a search warrant and blah, 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 and you weren't here. And then, then Homelander's like, well, so what happened to Maeve? And just as they're about to have to tell him that she escaped, Black Noir walks in. And he's still cuckoo seeing animated animals, which I just love this touch, by the way.
Exactly.
And so they get to leave. They're like, oh, we'll just yeah, we'll be out of here. You have your reunion. And so Black Noir shows up, and he's like, we got to kill Soldier Boy. He's coming. But then
Homelander asks him, it's like, he says, "I can tell people are lying." He's like,
Well, we
"Do
don't.
you
Wait, it's
know?"
not yet. That's next.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a lot of interweaved. I love how this show interweaves lots of storylines together. We go over to the gas station, and they're picking up some snacks on a road trip to get to Vought. And it's this real quick scene. Butcher basically punches out Huey and leaves him at the gas station, and leaves with Soldier Boy, telling Soldier Boy, "Hey, you were right about him the whole time. He's a punk. We're gonna just do this without him." And that's a quick scene, but it's important. It informs later scenes. We get to see A Train confronting his brother, and true to form, A Train, man, he's so self-absorbed. He can't, even though his brother almost died and is now a cripple. He's still like, "Hey, man, I got a new ticker. I'm gonna be all good again. Like, it's about
He
me.
wants to
Like,
be
don't you
my
feel good
coach,
about me? I'm gonna get to
He's
run again." He's telling the
yeah,
guy who can't walk anymore, "I'm gonna get to run again." I was like, man, A Train.
yeah, he said, I'm gonna get the run again, and I'll pay for everything, all that stuff." And he's like, he feels so bad about his brother, but yeah, but his brother, he's like, "I can't walk because of this." Like, and then it's revealed, he's like, "You got a new ticker." He's like, he said, he asked because it's public knowledge of the news. He's like, "Did you kill Blue Hawk?" He's like, "No, no."
He just
And
lies to his face.
yeah, so then his brother figures it out, "Yeah, you killed him." And he's like, "I didn't want the guy to die. I wanted him to be, behind cells. I wanted him to, you know, I wanted him to go to jail for what he did. Instead, you took that away from us." You know?
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. His
But
brother is like his
yeah.
brother just tries to give him chance after chance, but A Train is so self-absorbed. He's so like all these characters, the hero ones, the sorry, the supers. They're all like super narcissistic. Like that's one of the things I love about this show is that it kind of tells a story of how narcissism poisons people. um and it's like his brother just like, "I'm gonna accept you. Just come home, stop this shit." Like, and A Train can't get out of it. But I do feel a little bit of sympathy because A Train had a little bit of character growth. He did tell Huey that apology story. That A Train, even though he's self absorbed, he's still human. He's still got a heart. It's just
Well, that's why
buried.
he killed, Blue Hawk.
Well, yeah. But
Revenge.
the big thing that makes me feel for A Train is he's afraid, right? Ultimately, he can't, even if he wanted to like make choices, and like he's afraid of Homelander. So
Yep.
he can't step out of line. So, anyways, his brother has it and is just like, "Get the hell out of my house. Don't ever come back." They have a little tussle. He falls out of his wheelchair. Um, and it's kind of a sad scene, man. Like, A Train caused this. Like, this happened because of him. Just like, man, the wake of destruction.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where it's like, man, some of these characters they're trying to like this. Remember the V. We don't know if the V corrupts you or if they're already corrupt, but man, these people. I mean, it's cool to see giving him a slight redemption arc, but man, it's not, not enough. So I'm curious where Adrian's going to go in the next season because he wasn't in for the rest of this episode.
Yeah, he gets a small scene in it later. It's small, but
No, yeah, but he's not part of the big thing at the end. So
right.
oh,
He's definitely like on the sidelines, but Starlight comes but to pick up Huey, and this is another one of my favorite scenes from the show. Excuse me, I got the burp hiccups. Um, and she's mad at that Butcher didn't tell Huey about the Temp V, and in kind of her getting mad, it kind of dawns, because Huey didn't even know that was even a thing, but it dawns on him. He's like, "Oh, that's why he punched me, because he was actually saving me, because Huey knows Butcher best."
yeah,
And
because she said, yeah, yeah, it'll kill you. He's like, yeah, that's why you realized.
right, because he was
So
like, "I don't know why he cold clocked me," and he's like, "Oh, that's Butcher's way of saving me." Like, and Starlight doesn't get it, but Huey knows Butcher, and he gets
yeah,
like his
funny.
his, his screwed up way how he does things. And then they have a really good he has a really good speech that he tells about his dad, and how his dad just kind of sat there when his wife kind of verbally abused him and all this stuff. And he used to think his dad was weak because he would just sit there and take it and not do anything. And then it's a really
Well, no,
heartfelt story.
the mom
Go ahead.
left him, and he didn't fight for her apparently, and he just sat on the couch. But he realized that his dad was actually there. His mom wasn't. His dad
Oh
was
yeah,
there for
that
him.
was it. I was mixing up things. But yeah, what my point was, yeah, he viewed it as like you're just being weak, like you're sitting there and not doing anything, but that was what he could do. Like he was doing, and you have to see the scene. It's more eloquent than I'm retelling it, but he basically was like, I didn't know what strength was. That's what strength. And he's trying to draw an analogy that Butcher has strength. There's things that he can't do, but he does them in his own way, and now he can understand. And he also tries to use it, I think, as a parallel for Annie. Like, I didn't understand, your strength, and he has like an apology moment, and it's a really well written one. I think writing apologies is very difficult, and
Well,
I found it very believable.
the funny part is I know you just want to say it. She's like, and she just hears, she just goes, "Screw, I told you so." He's like, "Hey, feel better now?"
Right. That was a good moment of levity because the scene was really heavy, and so the writers write in that funny part where you can just like have end on a light note. The writing on the show is astounding.
Like I said, if it would have been a CW show, she would have broke up with him.
um so we cut to the meetup um with Maeve. This is a big scene. I mean, there we go. And Maeve has escaped, and she calls Starlight, and in the meantime, in the bathroom, Frenchie's doing lines of coke or something, and Kamiko's just like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, slaps the shit out of him, and Frenchie's
Yeah,
going through a self-pity moment, and
yeah,
she
it calls him on his bullshit.
yeah, and she has to basically do to him what he did for MM. And she tells him the story of like, "Look, man, when you met me, I was a monster and like all these things, and like you told me, you showed me what I could be and who I am and da da da." And he's like, "Don't you see
You
like
saw yeah,
she
seeing the good in me.
yeah, and she's like, "I see that in you." And she has a nice edifying moment. And this whole episode, man, is full of these really good, heartfelt human moments that were lacking in the beginning and almost drove me to stop watching this show because I was like, this is just dark and
You know,
nihilistic and just go ahead.
you also say what really annoys me is every time she's on there, she does it with sign language. I have to turn on subtitles because they don't pop up
They pop
when
up
she
for
speaks.
me. That's weird.
Oh, I click on subtitles. I rewind. I click on subtitles, and then it pops up. You know
That's
what she
weird.
said. Yeah, for me, it wasn't doing that. Amazon. I was like, "Dang you, Amazon!" It's like,
Huh.
yeah. Sometimes it does it. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. So I don't know if it's a glitch or whatever. But
Yeah,
man,
that's weird. I don't know. Um, so that was a nice heartfelt moment. I really like that this show is giving characters the positive human emotions and the things like you can care about them. I feel like this episode, whether it was anticlimactic or not, it was worth it to me because I finally got to see characters like be heroes. Like they were just good people instead of just being a bunch of like degenerate losers that are just nihilistic and narcissistic. And like it was just the show started off so dark, and
well,
then
yeah, the killers are the killers. That's what they were.
yeah, just and they're yeah, like Frenchie is just a hired killer. Like he's but
Because that's
but
what the
you
boys were.
yeah, yeah, but you get to see there's more to him. And I think the fact that it took 3 seasons to bring it out was really nice because I think a lot of shows would have rushed it. They would have like had like 1 or 2 oh look, boom, and they don't. That's not enough character growth. You need to build over time, and that's I excellent, excellent, bravo. I just want to applaud the show writers for this. Um, so they have that moment, then we go back to Huey, who's now um kind of he's getting grilled by Butch or MM. He's like, because oh, that's right. this is the part where like they realize, oh shit, like they're gonna go and that they realize Butcher and Soldier Boy are on their way to Vought, but there's like 1,000 people that work in the building, and if shit goes down, like they could probably collapse the building, 1,000 people die. They're all worried about that,
Every time he goes off, he's a nuke.
right? And so they realize, and Huey's like, I guess we got to stop Soldier Boy, but he kind of gets grilled by MM. He's like, what do you mean? I can't believe you're saying that. Like, this was like your idea, blah, blah, blah. And Huey has a really cool moment where he explains, number one, that Butcher's not the bad guy everyone thinks that he is. And like that deep down, he's good and he just doesn't know how to do things right. And he's got his great lines, one of my favorite lines in the episode, where he says, we save everyone, even if they don't deserve it, especially if they don't deserve it. And that was enough, kind of like for Starlight. And then everyone just kind of like, okay. And I
We
was
did
like,
pass.
damn, I did not expect to see that in the boys.
We did skip one thing. Was Frenchie giving MM the nerve agent?
Oh, did
You
I
may have
skip
said
that?
you may have. I'm not sure. But I want to point out when he hit the nerve agent, they're gonna use to take down Soldier Boy. Was in a perfume bottle, a $10 perfume bottle. The Starlight like Wish or something. And I love how MM just like this jazz on. He's like, really? You put like the most dangerous nerve agent in a freaking perfume bottle?
Yeah, I don't think that
And then
happened yet.
now that was further up. Well, according to your notes, sir, I'm
Oh,
looking at
was
it.
it? All right. Well, then I'm wrong. I
That
was
was
looking
yeah,
for it.
that was right before the daughter speech.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, so that's gonna lead up to yeah, they got to confront him eventually. They got to confront Butcher and Soldier Boy, and Maeve's there in the apartment too. Because and I love how Maeve's like, yeah, let me see this, and she chucks the nerve agent out the window and just stands with Butcher because she really wants to kill Homelander. Because think about what she went through. He said he was just gonna like he was gonna keep her alive just enough to get her eggs out of there so he could just reproduce with her, create his own a little army of kids,
No,
and then
yeah,
kill her.
that scene doesn't happen yet. No,
So
that hasn't happened yet.
well, that was the one talking about the
We'll get to it. It's on number 13 is what you're talking about. Um,
yeah.
so we're on 11 now. So Butcher and Soldier Boy reminisce about their fathers, and they have kind of a. This was a cool scene for me too about Soldier Boy kind of opens up and is like really frank about his upbringing and kind of like why he's so screwed up. And basically, he didn't have a father that beat him or anything, but a father that just constantly made him feel like a disappointment. Never touched him, but was a disappointment. And then the one time Soldier Boy did like the most pinnacle thing anyone can do, where he became like the superhero of the world. Like he became the world's strongest man, helped
He Captain
save,
America.
he became Captain America. And he goes, and the Butcher asks him, like, well, what'd your dad think about that? And he's like, told me I took a shortcut and cheated and like was even more disappointed in me. And it was like, damn, like what a piece of shit. Like,
But
uh,
it was so funny though when they said that he's like, "Oh, I volunteered for the trial for the VOT trials, superhero trials as the first one." It's like I was like, "Dang!" And like I'm like, dude, again, I'm thinking like Captain America flashbacks here. It's
right,
like,
right, exactly. A lot of parallels. And then the next
wait,
scene, go ahead.
wasn't Soldier Boy? Oh, I'm thinking of the algorithm of Superboy and Spider Man. No, that was actually the name of one of the Marvel when they call him didn't they call him Soldier Boy or
I don't
I forget what
know.
they called him. But anyway, but I just kept thinking of that. I was like, that's he's pretty much yeah, he is like the evil or messed up Captain America. He didn't do it because he wanted to serve his country. He did it because, prove a thing to his dad. But then he didn't care anymore. He
Right. Well, he
says like
constantly
I'm
felt worthless. He felt like he
yeah,
was just a disappointment. He was trying to be someone, like do something. And then even when he became, he was like his dad's like, "You're still a disappointment. You cheated your way there." It's like, damn, dude.
and his
Uh,
dad apparently owned like 12 different like companies or businesses, like or I
yeah.
guess like
They should have called this episode "Daddy Issues." Um, So it's really what's
Well,
like the theme of the
it
show or this episode.
yeah.
The next scene is Black Noir trying to convince Homelander that they need to kill
Cute
Soldier Boy.
the marker, I love that. He's just drawing
Yeah,
on it.
he's just drawing
I'm
on
like,
it, and
yeah,
Homelander's like, I'm not really sure if I want to, and he's like, Soldier Boy's or sorry, Noir's like, no, he's bad, and Homelander's just kind of like, is he really
kill.
that bad? And he like underlines it like, no, he's bad. Um, and then Homelander has this moment where he's, feeling like, oh, like my dad, I didn't know I had a dad out there and like no one told me and all this stuff. And again, it's
Yeah,
Homelander's
yeah,
daddy issues. And he confronts Noir and he's like, did you know that I had a
did
dad
you
out there?
well, remember yeah, 'cause he asked him, yeah, he's like, what was my dad like?" Yeah, I thought that was kinda cool, and then he, like, leads right into it, he's like, "Well, did you know?" And he's like, "Before you answer, remember, I could tell if you're lying, I could tell you're breathing, I can hear your little I could see right through your mask, I can see your messed up face." He just basically just degrades him through his face, and then he
Yeah.
says, "If you lie to me, I'll kill you." And
Well, he
so
doesn't
and
say
then
that. He doesn't say he'll kill him. He doesn't actually
no,
threaten him. He
no.
just basically tells him like,
Oh,
I can
no.
see through your mask. I can see when you smile. I can see that messed up face of yours, which we know from previous episodes that
At
Soldier
this
Boy
point,
did that to him.
I think everybody thinks that if they lie to him or piss him off, he's gonna kill him. Homelander's that
Sure,
messed
sure.
up.
I would not expect someone not to think that per se. Although
So,
Noir has been Homelander's best friend, so I think Noir. I don't know what Noir's thinking, but the point is Homelander's total psychotic, and if what I took away from this scene was that Homelander identified all these things about Black Noir. Identified that he's been disfigured, right? He has to cover his face, all this stuff, but still has zero empathy for him. Still, it's all about me. It's all about that I had a dad out there and someone didn't tell me, and now you need to die. Like what happened to Black Noir is infinitely worse than Homelander, but Homelander is such a sociopath that he can't consider anyone
but
else in the
trust.
world but him. The
Yep.
world revolves around him, and it doesn't matter. Like a normal human being would be like, "I'm disappointed in you. You broke my heart." You said, but I get it. Like you've had a troubled life too. I'm trying not to judge you too much. Like it's been tough. Like not Homelander. Nope. There's just and they have an embrace, and he just punches through his gut and rips out his guts, leaves him
My
dying
question.
on the floor. Go ahead.
So the vod chemical that's in him, the I forget what it's called, but oh, the V, yeah, compound V. He it must either it slows down certain people's age, because or nowhere it's or because we don't see his face now. We saw him when he's younger, so we haven't seen what he looks like now.
Right.
But yeah, so I wonder if he aged or if he slowed down because he remember it still looks the same. That's the one thing I was out about.
We know from
Noir.
some of the narrative that the compound V makes you age slower.
Yeah.
And Soldier Boy presumably hasn't aged at all because he's been in like that frozen suspension or something.
Well, the reason I say because you look at the other people that were on the original team with Soldier Boy, how much they aged. But then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. But from World War II, that was 90 years ago. Like they haven't aged that much. Um, so we get I love these cartoons, man. I love what's his name, Buster Beaver. Um,
something.
he just tells Noir like, you'll be with Christ the Lord," and it just fades
Well, yeah,
away.
yeah. Because at first you're like, tell him, you're like, don't worry, we got your back, and they have little birds sitting on Homelander's shoulder, stuff.
Yeah,
And then yeah, because he didn't, and then Butcher just rips his guts out because he after he told me they knew your father was alive and stuff, you know, and so he's laying there, and the Beaver's like, don't worry, he'll be with Christ the Lord. It's like
yeah,
he'll be at peace. And like, man, and it's the funny thing is they gave like the little voice actor for the or the voice for the beaver, he's got a speech impediment.
Yep.
Kind of, and that's probably what Noir had probably growing up, I
Oh, for
imagine.
sure. I mean, these are right out of his
Oh,
brain, right? So these
yeah, yeah,
characters kind of represent his character.
yep. And
Um,
all the animals are sitting there, they're standing watching him laying on the ground, they're just 'cause their head kind of crying. They're
right.
all it's like, man, it's just like it's like a Disney movie or the old Disney movies. And people are like,
It
"Oh,
really starks have like has like a stark contrast. It's
yeah."
that familiar Disney style, but then yet next to all this like horror and pain, you're just like, oh wow, it's like black and white. This is the scene you were thinking of. This is where the boys find Butcher. They try to talk him down from assaulting the tower, and Butcher basically tells Frenchie to shut his pie hole, and then
Because they're in apartments, yeah.
Frenchie's just like, no, no, I will not shut my pie. Like he stands up to Butcher. Um, and yeah, here and we get a really cool scene of Kamiko. She's real proud that he's kind of standing up for himself. That was a good little moment, a little body language that helps sell the scene. And everyone kind of stands up to Butcher. And basically, though, Huey has to interject because everyone else just thinks Butcher's an asshole, but Huey's like, no, he's good. And he basically tells Butcher, he's like, look, man, I think you saved me. That's why you punched me. And I think deep down, basically, you want me to save you. Like you want me to pull you back the way your brother used to do that. And Maeve, when he's doing that, eyeballs the nerve agent, and she tosses it out the window. And basically, he's like, nope, Homelander needs to die. It's like she's traumatized. She's not having any of this. Like we're gonna change our minds now. Like I joined you guys to kill Homelander. That's what we're gonna do. And Starlight's kind of disappointed, and Maeve's like, "Don't make me fight you." And then Soldier Boy walks in. He's like, "Oh, I'll hurt you." Because Maeve's like, "I don't want to hurt you." And Soldier Boy's like, "I'll do it. I don't have any qualms hurting people." So they end up locking everyone in a safe, and the three of them go on to the tower. Um,
And they shut the power off. That way Starlight can't use her powers.
right. So we cut
But
to Vought. Go
yeah.
ahead.
I was gonna say when we get to that, or how she breaks out of the safe is really great. Like the creativity behind that, because Butcher didn't think of it either. But
Right.
go ahead. Yeah,
This was this we cut to Vought and we got Ashley, Deep, and A Train, and they're basically just like like the captains on the Star Destroyer under Vader. They're just waiting. They're like, I want to be choked out to death. They're and Homelander lays down the law, and they're like, okay, we gotta figure out what to do. Like, Soldier Boy's coming. What about Black Noir? What's he saying? And they didn't notice that Black Noir's helmet's sitting on the thing, and it's like, oh yeah, Black
Oh,
Noir's dead.
there's one. He didn't put it on here, but there's something funny though. He goes to Ashley. He's like, and Ashley, take the ridiculous wig off.
I haven't got to that yet. Hasn't
It's in
happened
this.
yet.
No, it's in this.
I know, but it hasn't happened yet. I have that. Um, so basically, Homelander is like, nope. Black Noir disappointed me, and now he's dead. And basically, this is the fear moment. Like he's not ever making a direct threat. Like I'm gonna kill anyone. He's just like, But everyone gets the message. And Deep, you can see here Deep's face. He's just like, oh shit. And Homelander calls him over. Here, you want to do something for me? And he like whispers to him something that you can't hear. All we know is that Deep says, "Oh, that would be treasonous." And Homelander's like, well. And then Deep thinks about it and goes, all right, whatever you want, Homelander. I'll do whatever I don't want to die. We didn't say that, but I mean, it's the message. Then he confronts Ashley next. And he tells her to take off the wig. She's like, what wig? I don't have a wig. And he just kind of looks at her and he's like, come on. And then she takes it off. And that was a pretty humiliating moment.
and
But you don't feel
and
bad for her because she's such a bitch. Like,
oh yeah, and then you also remember though. You're like, oh, it makes sense because remember she pulled her hair out in front of
yeah,
A Train. So stressed, she's been doing this a lot, just pulling her hair out like a freak.
yeah. Perhaps, yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. Um, but it's a moment of humiliation for her. And to me, all I can think about is the themes of like, this is what you get when you side with evil. It never is going to play out good,
You lose your
right?
hair.
Well, no, I mean, more than that. It's these people, I mean, they're clearly, Ashley, for her part, she just wanted power. Remember, she started off as like an assistant. Now she's like the CEO, right? She climbed the ranks. She wanted that power. She essentially sold her soul, figuratively speaking, to the devil. And it's like it's all gonna come due. It's all gonna come due. Um, and then we cut over to A Train, and he doesn't really say much, but he's basically like tells A Train like you're gonna tell the world like it ends with us, like we're the final say in justice or something, and basically locks A Train into committing to being on their side because we all know as an audience that A Train's been waffling. Then we cut over to the VP, the guy who's running for VP, his house, and he's going for a swim, and he drowns, and we see the deep come out, and that was the treasonous thing that Homelander wanted him to do. It's a real quick scene. Then they break out of the safe, and that's what you were talking about. And forgive me, I'm just trying to rush through some of this stuff because
Yeah,
there's 31 scenes, and I want to go on for 10 hours. It's not all of
I
them are
know.
super important. Um,
So real quickly, how they break out of the safe is that remember they all had their phones. So she draws the light from their flashlights on their phones and blows the door off. So that was kind of cool. But
yeah, that's cool. Um, so let's see. Once they break out, MM is like, oh man, there's nothing we can do now. Like they got a head start. He's basically saying, he's kind of there's no hope. What are we gonna do? And then Frenchie says, well, there is a lab, one lab in New York where we can make another nerve agent. And everyone realizes what he means. It's the Vought building, and they're like, well, what the fuck? We can't go there. We can't go to Vought. Like, but then they all eventually are like, well, let's do it. Like it's they all kind of come to agree. Like, okay, it's time to do the suicide mission. Um, and that kind of ups the antes for the audience as well because you're like, oh geez, like the tension. And right before they leave, Huey finds a vial of the temp V lying on the floor, presumably left by Butcher, and he pockets it. So that's a little foreshadowing. And then we cut over to Homelanders watching old videos of Soldier Boy, and Butcher and Soldier Boy and Maeve show up. And this is where you're like, oh shit, shit's about to go down. Um, and I love this scene so much. I was just on pins and needles.
he knew,
And
he knew, he knew something was going to happen because what happened before in the very beginning of the episode. You're like, are they really going to do this?
well, yeah, because Soldier Boy has never committed, right? Like ever since like his father, we've seen Soldier Boy like dodge the question. He just takes a drink of something or whatever. And as soon as he
Well,
shows up, Homelander
yeah.
starts talking to Soldier Boy and's like, "Look, you're my dad, like we don't need these guys. Like no one can stop us together." Blah blah blah. And then you see like Maeve starts getting a worried look on her face, which is great writing for like the audience. Like she kind of like we as the audience are like, oh shit, like are these two gonna like team up? Are everyone gonna have to fight these two? We don't know what's gonna happen.
Well,
And
but the writing for Soldier Boy in this is great too.
oh, for sure. And
It
but
all it all
there's a
goes back to, I was gonna say it all goes back to the conversation between Butcher and his and and Soldier Boy in the car on the way to New York.
yeah,
So
we get to see that everyone, at least in this show, everyone is their father's son. Like
yeah.
as the father goes, so goes the son. And Soldier Boy kind of just looks at Homelander the same way his dad looked at him. And but before any of that happens, Homelander brings out grandson. Look, you have a grandson, and then you're like, oh shit! Like this is really gonna go on. It's gonna be the family trio against. Oh no, what's gonna happen? And Soldier Boy kind of confronts him, puts his hand on his shoulder, and you can see here, look at Homelander so proud. It's, oh, my dad, look, my dad's proud of me. And then
Yeah,
Soldier Boy,
Ryan's like, "Hi,
right?
Grandpa."
And then Soldier Boy is like, yeah, perhaps if I had been there, I could have made something out of you instead of this weak pussy you turned out to be. And then you see Homelander's face is like, what? What? I'm not weak. I'm not and then it just goes south and Soldier Boy
Oh,
starts to
yeah,
choke Homelander and Ryan
that's the
gets
only reason.
involved
Yep.
and kind of lasers him and then Soldier Boy swats him to against the wall, knocks him out. Homelander he goes to look care for his boy and then Soldier Boy is gonna unleash his power on both of them. Butcher's like looking, what the hell, like, and he looks at Maeve, gives Maeve a look. Maeve kind of looks back. She doesn't really know what to do, and then Butcher's like, nope, can't let Ryan die. It doesn't matter, and he turns against Soldier Boy.
But Butcher versus Soldier Boy in the
But
newsroom,
yeah,
the
and
fun
then
newsroom.
and then uh once Homelander's feels secure that his son's okay, he also joins in. They both turn. And then Maeve, when they go into the next room, they're fighting, and but Maeve stops Homelander. So now it's Butcher versus Soldier Boy in one room, and Maeve fighting um, Homelander in the other.
Well, you get
And
Wonder
he,
Woman's versus.
yeah, and at first he, Homelander's just like, stop, Maeve, we don't have time for this right now. He's just like brushing her off, and she's like, stop, and but then she's like really starts laying into him, and it becomes a fight. And it's really
Yep.
intense. You having both of these fights. It wasn't something I expected. And I was really impressed at how much Maeve put up a fight against Homelander. That was
Well,
really
the fact
cool.
she made Homelander bleed from his nose.
Yeah, that's right. She punches him in the face and he's bleeding from the nose and then it cuts to her and you can kind of see like, oh, I got a chance. Right? She has like that moment of hope. Um
Yeah, and until he puts a thumb in her eye.
oops. So in the meantime, as all this is happening, Starlight and crew show up. Now, the the fight's going on. They're making a lot of back and forth. The scenes are cutting around, but in the lab, they're trying to make the stuff.
The nerve
Huey's
agent.
monitoring the security cameras. He's trying to evacuate the building. And they get the alerts over the radio. Oh, please evacuate. Blah blah blah. And so Ashley and her assistant Ashley are leaving, and and CEO Ashley turns to this is like, no, 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 the Sikorskis are only they're only for SVPs and up. Sorry, dear. You
Yeah.
gotta die. She's just like, what? And it's like, God dang it, Ashley, you still don't learn. You're still the evil bit. Like it's like,
I
yeah,
w
that
dude, I was
go ahead.
hoping that I was hoping that her helicopter would be knocked off or something like that, destroyed, and she died because,
Right.
yeah, it's like the villain. I'm gonna flew away. Oh crap! I get caught. No. It's like,
So
yeah.
Frenchie's making the stuff, and then the security shows up, and we get the flash
Oh,
dance scene where
yes.
Kamiko she puts in the earbuds and she pulls up Flashdance soundtrack. And I just loved it. It was a really funny way to do it. You just hear
Starts
the
dancing.
soundtrack going and she's whooping ass on these guys.
It starts
Um,
off with the music playing, and then you see her like her feet going up and down, like
yep,
it's like.
just like the movie. Really
Yep.
cool throwback to the 80s. It did put a smile on my face. We go back to Maeve and Homelander still duking it out. And Homelander is physically more powerful than she is, and he kind of overpowers her and drives his thumb into her eye, and we
That
get a
was so
nice.
gross.
Oh yeah, it was pretty gross. But she takes it, and she's still fighting. We scenes back and forth. There's three fights going on that we're cutting
No,
back and
no,
forth.
I gotta say though, I thought he was gonna really just rip her head off. Like I was that was it for her. The thumb in the eye, and
Right.
she's gone. But no, it's like freaking Wonder Woman on just like determination. I'm just gonna kick the crap out of Superman,
Yep.
no matter what.
So in the middle of the fight, or not Huey, Frenchie gets shot, but he finishes the serum and gives it to Kamiko. He's like, I'm fine, get out of here. Like, go take it. Fights are still going. Butcher punches through Soldier Boy's shield, and you're like, damn, Butcher. And they have a brawl,
Well,
But
he was heating it up first with the heat fish, and then he punched it, so it's
yeah,
like he
yeah,
was able to break it.
they broke
And
that,
then we oh my gosh.
and then he Butcher gets knocked out. And it's like, oh shit, like because M&M's doesn't have powers, and Soldier Boy is down, and
He gets Starlight.
Starlight's
Yeah.
there, and Huey's watching on the video cameras, and he's like, oh shit, like he sees Starlight facing Soldier Boy, and
When they
his
left the
go ahead.
part when they originally left the apartment, they got out of the vault, he had spotted a little vial of Compound V, temporary V,
Yep.
and he brought it with him just in case, because I don't know if he's gonna use it or not. And then this scene, he's watching on, she's in there, and he's like, "Oh crap, what am I gonna do?" And he looks at the vial in his pot, and he takes out pulls out his pocket, looks at his hand, like, "Should I use it?" But then he says, "Screw this." He puts the lights up in the
Yeah,
all
he
the
puts the V away,
yeah.
and I really like
He
that was a growth moment for Huey, right? Because his whole thing was
Yep,
like, I want to save you, I want to save you, and he decides to trust her. And again, going harkening back to that speech about I know what strength is, and he believes, and he turns the lights up to give her the power source she needs. And I put in the notes, she goes plus ultra. That's my
I
little
know, right? She does.
in my little MHA reference. And she even flies. Like we get to see her. She she levitates, but and then Huey has like, oh, I'm so proud moment there. Um, and she blasts Soldier Boy, kind of stuns him, and everyone kind of jumps on him, and they put the gas. Uh, and now Soldier Boy's like, I'm not going back, I'm not going back, and he starts to power up, and he's gonna nuke. And
Remember, well, before this though, he was gonna Annie. He was gonna use before she went plus ultra. She was about to go plus ultra him. He's running up to her with his sword at the piece that's broken, and I kept thinking of like, this is U.S. Agent Snowman and from Falcon and Winter Soldier,
oh
where
right, yeah,
he's got the
yeah, he was gonna try to
like
impale her. That's
yeah.
his mo, right? That's he used his shield to
I know, but it's funny the similarity. He's got the helmet. He's got or not the helmet, but I mean he's just got the whole look going there. I mean, I was like, this is U.S. Agent.
So
But yeah,
Soldier Boy is powering up. He's gonna go Nova, and everyone's kind of like frozen here. And we see Maeve's on the ground. She's looking, and she sees like Butcher's trying to shelter Ryan because the
yeah,
blast is coming, and so he's gonna lay his body on the line. And we get a moment, like a look from Maeve that harkens back to an earlier scene where when she tossed away the nerve agent or whatever, and Starlight kind of confronts her. He says, I thought you were a hero. And she's like, nope, I'm not, says that. And this gets a moment where Maeve does actually get to be a hero because she sees what Butcher's willing to do and what sacrifice for people. And she grabs Soldier Boy and does like a
there.
dive tackle out the window and detonates
Oh,
as they're falling. I don't have the scene here, but um,
no, it is like a giant ball of energy, it's like a sun going off,
yeah. And
and
so she saves the day, and
here's the
everyone's kind of like, oh, cool, like yeah, whoo, take a breather, and then Homelander, oops, we forgot about this guy. What are we gonna do now? And he's pissed, and Butcher's, he's kind of beat, because he was fighting Soldier Boy, and what's gonna happen? And you think Homelander's gonna kill him, and Butcher was protecting him, and Brian just goes to Homelander's like, "Come on, Dad, let's leave." And
there was
gra-
one other thing that was really cool that we didn't talk about
what's
is
that?
that Maeve took like a pen or pencil, shoved it in Homelander's ear canal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that
Oh,
was
that
during
was
the
gnarly.
yeah,
So I
yeah. It was
was
like
hoping
some
that
sort
hit
of like metal beam or something. Like
yeah,
it's like a
yeah,
rod.
really thin like a straw, like those metal straws.
Yeah. Um. So
Um,
Ryan leaves Butcher, right? And this is again harkening back to Butcher's the villain, so to speak. Like Butcher kind of pushed Ryan to this spot,
yeah,
and
didn't want him. Butcher could have, yeah, he was happy with Butcher, but Butcher's like didn't want to be nothing to do with him.
Yep. And so now he leaves with home. This scene here, perfect. Like this nice screen cap here of just Butcher. Look, this this sums it up. This Butcher, you failed. Uh, and then Butcher touches his nose and he's got the black goop coming out, which is the temp V rotting his
Yeah, because
brain.
he said
And
he was at that point where it was gonna kill him if he
yeah,
used it one more
so he touches his nose and then he just passes out. And then that's where it cuts. And I was expecting it to be like when that happened, I don't know about you or RDV. I was like, no, that's not the end of the no way they didn't end that there. I totally thought I was gonna see the credits roll. And I was gonna be like, I was ready to
time.
be so pissed.
So
But
then we get "Goodbye the Yellow Brick Road." I hate that
yeah,
song. Elton
I
John
like
starts
the
playing.
song, but it was so transparent what they were trying to do here. Um,
Yeah.
which was do the big LGBTQ thing. Oh yeah, did you forget that Maeve is gay? Did you forget that our show is pro LGBT? Well, no, we're here's a virtue signal. So the
No,
show has this little moment.
that's
They
VOD.
play,
Yeah,
but it's not
because
just
VOD
VOT. It's not just VOT because they play it the whole, even when it's not showing the VOT stuff. This was like the soundtrack to the show. They play Elton
I
John.
I I know, but, like, the whole thing is, like, VOD's trying to save face, so that saying that, Maeve remembering Maeve was a hero. She defeated Soldier Boy and all those.
Correct, but VOT doesn't do the LGBTQ stuff. It's all the non-VOT stuff where we'll get to here in a sec. Where they're having the memorial, remembering Queen Maeve, blah blah blah, which is all cool. We cut over to Butcher. I like this transition, by the way, though, that it's like it's playing on the TV in the room that the Butcher's at. It was like cool.
Well, yeah.
As a film geek, like that was a neat transition. And the doctor's giving him bad news. You got about 12 to 18 months to live. Butcher lights up some cigarettes because he's not a pussy like Wolverine. He doesn't just eat pretzels. And and yeah. And so we cut over. This is all epilogue. Finally is having that talk with his daughter and telling her the history of his parents and how Soldier Boy has killed his grandparents and blah 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 blah. And it's kind of an uncomfortable talk, but he took advice from Frenchie. And at the end, his daughter says to him, "You're my hero, Dad." And it was a real touching moment. I thought like it was finally nice to see get a little bit of relief because I feel like he's like one of the better characters of the show as far as like a moral
He
compass. Like he's trying to
he's
do
got a
right, and
like
he's got this problem because he's got a family, and he's like I trying to balance being a good dad to my father and also being this sort of like dark vengeance, like hunting these.
and I feel like, if he were to leave the boys, he probably could get back with his
Perhaps,
ex-wife.
but he couldn't be him. Like he would have to sacrifice like who he was, and what
Well,
he's
the
doing
big
is a good and necessary thing.
the big thing that was really keeping him from being with her was the whole Soldier Boy thing. Now it's been solved.
Right. And it was really cool because at the beginning of this season, he solves it with the
Yeah,
wife, right? The wife basically gives him
yeah.
permission. He's like, look, you need to do this. Like you and we can't be together or whatever, but I understand now. Like this is what you were born to do. You go do it. And he kind of gets permission because before he used to have to hide it from her, remember? So now he doesn't have to hide it from the wife, and he voluntarily doesn't want to bring his daughter, and that makes sense. But he now tells the daughter, and she's like, "You're my hero, daddy," and I'm just like, "Cool." Uh, and then we cut over to Starlight, and meets up, finds Maeve is alive. She survived the blast. She looks like hell. She's missing an eye,
Is there a
and
hug and stuff? And
the old lesbian girlfriend has shown up out of the blue. And this is where I was saying, like, I felt like it was like the whole. This felt really forced. We did not need to
well,
see the girl. I can't believe like
well, it's a send off for Maeve because I don't think she's coming back to the show.
she's probably not. And but my point is this other girl has been out of the show for like 2 seasons. She left Maeve, and I felt like this scene was
Did she leave Maeve, or is she hiding in, like, because as long as Maeve was there, she was a target, so she didn't leave. I think she
she'd
was
be
in
even
hiding.
more of a target now. She's got no super. I don't know. It really felt forced to me. If it didn't feel forced to you,
That's
that's
the
totally cool.
and that's the thing though I thought about is like, are they gonna just give her a valid compound V? and then she could like heal.
Well, she doesn't have healing powers like Kamiko does.
Yeah, I know, but
But she could theoretically she could become Maeve again because we saw that once you've had powers, you can take the compound V and get your powers back.
yep,
So theoretically, she could come back. I don't know.
yeah.
I just felt like the scene was forced. I didn't feel like we needed to see the girlfriend like, "Oh, remember? We're lesbians. We're going off to go live on a farm now." I'm just like, you could have just had Starlight and Maeve and she's like, "I'm out of here." And it would have been fine. But whatever.
Thinking about
Again, the whole time they're playing Elton John in the
I,
background. It was really hitting the nail hard on the head. Like it was just um
I wasn't that triggered as much as you were.
I'm not, it didn't trigger me. It was just one of those things where it was like not subtle. I would have appreciated a little more subtlety. Like I just
It's not like hey Starlight, do you want to join us for a month?
no, that would have just
Like
been
no.
dumb. But I don't I know she's gay. We all know. Like we don't need the Elton John music. Whatever.
The funny thing is, there's probably people are shipping Starlight and Maeve.
Oh, probably.
It's like, anyway
So
though, but
so they all leave, and then we cut to the scene where Ashley are watching some security footage of the boys rescuing Maeve. And you're like, uh-oh, what's going to happen? And Ashley does the good thing. She deletes the file to protect Maeve
yep.
from. So that was like, hey, Ashley did a good thing. And then we cut over to Grace. What's her name? Is that Grace? Yeah, Grace's house or play somewhere. And they're putting Soldier Boy in some sort of tube
Oh yeah,
suspension. So Soldier Boy's alive, but
yeah. He's with the gas, putting him in the
he's
box
locked
again.
up.
Yep.
Um, and then we cut to the deep, and he's sitting there stuffing his face, feeling self pity,
Sorry
and he's
for yeah.
watching the TV, and it's his wife, and
Soon to be
she's,
ex-wife.
but presumably, and she's telling the talk show host, and she says, thematically, she's always been like,
The victim.
you just don't know the real deep. Like that's the whole thing. Like people don't like you don't know. And now she's like, you don't know the real Kevin, and if you did, you wouldn't like him. And it's just
Basically putting him as an abusive. Yeah, it's like Amber Heard thing.
right. It's kind of the thing that finally the deep deserves. Like right, like
Yeah.
he
Well,
this
look what he did. He raped Annie in the very first episode or two.
right. Yeah, no, he's never been a good guy. But you
He never
started to
went to
see
jail
him
for it.
like having that growth. Like he went through the cult, met that wife. She was pretty
Mhm.
smart and like told him like helped him be not such a fuck up, if you will. Like and then he kind of dumps her because he's like, look, I did this myself, like and she's like,
Well,
what?
it's
You
not
think you could do this without me? Like
I
and
don't
so
think he
she
dumped
leaves.
her as
He
much
didn't
as
he
she
didn't
dumped
dump her.
him
Yeah. That's more accurate.
because she did not wanna have sex with an octopus, and he did.
Right, but then it forms an argument, and he
Yeah.
basically says, like, "I'm the one that did this." Like, and she's like, "What? You think you could do this without me?" Like, Okay, whatever." She like leaves, and for a while, he thinks he like bought into his own bullshit and didn't realize all the stuff that she was doing for him. And it's actually a pretty cool tribute to like women in a weird, stupid, like not
Yeah.
stupid, but a weird, absurd way to like show like how much women do for us and we don't appreciate it because we're pig-headed men and we just think that we're the shit. And his whole life is crumbling around him, and I don't know what he's eating here. Did you discover what he's eating? I couldn't make it
You know
out.
what?
Is it
Looks like those, ding dongs.
ding dongs?
Hostess.
Yeah, I couldn't be sure. But it's just like it's just a really pathetic moment. But it's like it's oh, maybe that's the subtlety. Maybe that's the metaphor here. It's just desserts. He's eating ding
Yep.
dongs. He's eating
Yeah.
his just desserts. Yeah. Then we cut over to the boys' place, and Annie is throwing away her costume, saying she doesn't need it anymore. And they kind of give her an invite, like, "Hey, if you're gonna
Other
be a
milk
part of us, you've got
criticizer.
to." And she's like, I don't know if Butcher's gonna like it."
Yeah.
And
They basically said, like, that I guess she's gonna be the maid in the place, cleaning the place.
no, no,
Is that
my understanding was the way I took it was because he's like, if you're gonna when you throw away stuff, you gotta like tie it, double tie, do this, that.
in the
My
bag? Yeah.
takeaway was like we have to hide our stuff. We have to be careful how we dispose because we're in hiding. And so you can't just like toss
Yeah.
Starlight costume in a trash like where people could just obviously see it. That's that's how I took it. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, put it in the chat, someone. Um, and then Butcher shows. She's like, I'm not sure if Butcher's gonna be okay with that, and they're just all, shut up. They don't say shut up. They're like, don't worry about it. Like, we don't care what Butcher says anymore. We're a democracy. Like he doesn't get to say. They all turn around. Butcher's just standing in the doorway. It's like,
He's slurping loudly on a Vought 7, you know,
yeah. But it's just kind
drink.
of funny that they're like all like, screw what Butcher has to say. Like we do whatever we want. And then they all turn around and like Butcher's like right there. They're like, oh, he's just sipping on his drink. And then he doesn't say anything. And then the TV cuts over and there's a news thing, and it turns out that Head Popper Girl is now the new VP candidate. So
He had
surprise.
he had Homelander have the Deep kill the VP. That way she could be the VP and run with Bobby Singer, which I still think is a fun name because Bobby Singer is the name and the same actor as the Supernatural.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's in the wheelchair. Bobby Singer,
Huh.
because
So
the name of the character was based off of Robert Singer, the guy who was directing the show.
oh, I didn't know any of that.
So it was funny because to see him have the same name and it's the same person. It's
So all we
so
get, the only line we get from Butcher is he just says, "Well, that bitch has definitely got to go." And it cuts away from that, and we get the final scene of the show, and this is my most bothersome scene, Bankman.
yeah,
It didn't ruin it. It's not a game changer. Still love the show. It's still one of the best things on TV. But it was an annoyance, especially since it was the last scene. It like left a taste in my mouth. It has its merits. There's good things about the scene. Again, I feel just like with the Maeve thing, I felt it was too heavy-handed. I think
for
it
statue
could have worked. I think it could have worked better if they were more subtle. So we go back to the protests from like the beginning of the episode, and it's two factions. There's the liberal anti Me Too movement.
yeah,
Then there's the conservative, coincidentally is just like Trump. It even has Buffalo Man here. You can see on the screen. Remember the Buffalo
yeah.
guy? It even
January
has,
6th.
yeah, the January 6th Buffalo. Even he's right there. Again, this is so heavy-handed. Notice they're all white because, of course, all Trump supporters are white supremacists. And I'm like, this is just so heavy-handed.
They're showing the Trump supporters, or I guess MAGA, or you would implied in here, they are pulling down the statue of Soldier Boy,
Right.
where it was actually the Me Too liberals that are actually pulling down the
Exactly.
statue.
Right. But it feels like it's just very manipulative.
It
They're
is.
they're just so like, yay, like to Homelander. Now look, I get that people get deceived. That's one of the things I like about this show is that people get deceived and that Homelander is he would have a ton of people that are his fans. I totally get it. Just don't try to make him Trump. Just make him Homelander, right? As soon as you try to say, "Oh, Homelander is an analog for Trump," I'm like, no,
They're trying to say that
anyways.
Annie was a analog for Hillary Clinton.
Right. And so you see, um, and Homelander's like, I want to introduce you to someone. And he brings out his son. And they're like,
And it
oh.
floats down because it's revealed that now Ryan can fly.
Right. So
Before Ryan, remember they showed Ryan could do the heat vision in the last season, and then in the beginning of this episode, he has the strength. He can throw things real far. Now we're learning that now he can fly.
yep.
So Ryan's gonna be the villain of next season. I
I don't
guarantee.
know. So it builds
I
up
bet
and
you.
he's like, yay, like my son. And all the people are like, of course, like, oh, yeah, he's got a son. And
Do you think they'll
eh,
do a time jump next season and like have an older
well,
kid?
let me just finish the scene. um, so uh, Ryan gets introduced, and then we hear, ah, trying to catch it. Yeah, Ryan floats down, and
So yeah, this Me Too guy
there you
says
go.
crap.
So we see this guy comes out of nowhere, like this would happen anyway. There'd be this one guy in the middle of all the Trump supporters, like he's like, and he throws something at Ryan and calls him a fascist. And um, Homelander steps up in front of Ryan and just looks at him and then lasers his face off. It's just like, and then we cut over to Patrick. Remember Patrick, the stepfather?
Who was pro Homelander.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then MM was like, "No, you don't get it." And then he was defending Homelander and he's like, "No, Homelander doesn't do any of that stuff." Da 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 da. And then that was like a thing on like fake news, and it's like, again, I get it. People are deceived, but here Patrick just watched Homelander laser a dude in the face and then
And then
starts the
he took
cheer. Everyone, and then everyone is cheering Homelander, starting off with Patrick. That they just murdered this guy. Like this guy's face is like half cut off. Like just it's
yeah,
gory.
it's gone.
And Homelander, you can see his face here, is like, what? They're cheering me? And he's like, oh yeah, I can dig it. Like now Homelander's unleashed, and he's got the MAGA crowd, quote unquote, um, behind
Behind him,
him.
yeah.
And I'm just like, this is so heavy. You didn't need to do this.
Yep, I know.
Um, Again, show is awesome. I love all that stuff. I love the allegory, all the different, not necessarily the allegories, the metaphorical themes that this explores of like I said, deception, narcissism, having daddy issues. There's so many different things that this show covers. It's got good action, great character development. It's one of the most just dense as far as just so many things to like about it. It's not a one-dimensional show by any means, but it didn't need, especially at the very last few minutes of the very last episode, to throw in the heavy-handed politics stuff. Keep real-world politics out of fiction. Just you don't need to do that. This is a different world where superheroes and like they actually exist. So because they exist, Trump doesn't exist, right? So
Yeah,
don't.
the head popper lady, that's Victoria Newman in the show. Yeah, she was remember if you guys remember who watch it, she was actually leading the task force for the government going against the corrupt superheroes. He was working for her until they found out that she's a head popper, and then she made a deal with Homelander. So
So we see the very last thing is Ryan's face, and he starts to crack a smile, which I'm not going to see in the still, but it's like a half smile. It's kind of more of like
devious smile.
it's yeah,
I
it's
can
just um,
because he was tall. Because
it,
yeah,
it's
it
more of
says his
like
father.
it's like a smile of satisfaction, I guess. It's kind of how I was thinking. It's not like haha evil grin. It's more of just like he feels like he's found his home, and it's kind of haunting because you're like, oh shit, this is like, remember how innocent Ryan used to be, and he
It's
couldn't
been
hurt
so
fly, and now he's
so
like
messed
little Homeland Junior. Oh, so scary. What? Oh. And then Butcher, how's Butcher gonna stop if he becomes the villain? How does he? I don't know, man. I don't know where the show's going, but that is the end. Um,
It's gonna go with legacy characters, bro.
don't tell me that. But yeah, now I mean, by all means, take the floor. Have anything that you want to. I was just trying to get through the last scenes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this show going over when I first started watching it, when I saw the Deep, I'm like, I know that guy, Chase Crawford from One Tree Hill. I never watched it, but man, seeing the freaking advertisement when I was watching Smallville back in the day on the WB, that's all you saw was like, oh, Chase Crawford in this and this. So it's interesting to see him play the pretty boy, but also the pretty boy stupid idiot, but also a rapist too. I was like, what the heck? This is so weird. It's a weird role for him. But everyone here, Jack Quaid throwing him in here as his Huey, bringing in Simon Pegg to play the dad. When the comic books was actually the Huey was actually Simon Pegg in the comic books.
Yeah, that's
Carl,
a cool Easter egg.
yeah, Carl Urban playing Billy Butcher, William Butcher, just awesome. I don't think you could find anybody else more violent than him. I said if they ever replace Wolverine, give me Butcher, give me Carl Urban. Screw it.
The problem
Uh,
is if you did that, it would just make Wolverine feel like Butcher.
I don't not to me.
I mean, I guess I wouldn't mind, but you know what I'm saying? Like people would just be like, it's the same character.
As long as he gets smoke, I don't care. Just call people cunts.
Because you're right. I mean, Urban channels much of the personality of Wolverine. He's got the gruff
Oh, he does.
attitude,
Any
the body
dude, any
language.
role yeah, any role he takes on, Judge Dredd, he is doing that too. He is just a very charismatic actor. Anthony Starr is like that too. Anthony Starr plays Homelander. He's not like this in any other roles. It's like this is like a just fun for him to play the horrible, insane bad guy. You
Yeah,
know,
he's really evolved this character too over the seasons.
oh, I
Um,
would
it-
love to see him. I mean, if they ever do a Superman movie, I want to see him come back as like a Kryptonian. Like an evil Kryptonian. It's
that
just
would be
cool.
a fun cameo, just to have him.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, this show is phenomenal. I know that I like picked apart that the very end. It bothered me, but I mean, every show is going to have things. It's not going to be perfect. This show is like 99% amazing, and then that 1% I was like, I just, and I think I'm even more bothered by it because it's so good. If I saw that on a CW show, I'd just be like, oh, whatever, it's a throwaway show anyway. But this, I'm like,
right.
oh, you almost like were perfect. You almost achieved perfection. You're so, um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the pretty good cast. You got Dominic McElliott or Elliott. She plays Queen Maeve in here. I remember watching her on the show on AMC's Hell on Wheels. So it was kind of see like, oh, it took me a minute to recognize because she had blonde hair on that. She was different, more polite and stuff. And then you see her like, just holy crap, totally different personality. She looks really butch in this. I didn't recognize her at first. So, but like, yeah, perfect cast. There's some humor in here, dark humor. Tomar Capon, the guy who plays Frenchie. Man, if they ever do a Moon Knight movie, I want him playing Frenchie.
a little on the nose,
There,
don't you think?
yeah, I don't care. He's awesome. If he can play Frenchie in this, he can play Frenchie in anything.
You gonna
Karen,
are you gonna want the actress that plays Kamiko to be Lady Deathstrike?
no,
No, no.
no,
Who should she be?
Colleen Wing replace the
What?
other chick.
Who?
Colleen Wing.
Who the hell's that?
You not watch Iron Fist?
Of course I don't watch Iron
Colleen,
Fist.
you ever read Heroes for
Also,
Hire?
she's Japanese. She's not Chinese. Racist.
Wow.
I'm just kidding. I mean, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding.
I don't care if she's Japanese.
I don't care if
Would you
she's
really want?
Japanese either, but if she's trying to play a Chinese character, she should probably be a Chinese person. Should fill the
Well,
role.
yeah,
Plus, Wolverine has, Japanese. Or she could
that's
be,
true.
I'm
Then
trying to, Yukio. She could be Yukio. Oh, they already did that story. So never mind. I can't.
no.
They've already ruined the greatest Wolverine story ever told, so we'll never get that on the big screen. Um,
Regardless, though, I mean, she's a great actor. She's proven that she can do action roles.
yeah,
Uh,
apparently she's a martial artist in real life.
yeah, and Laz
Um,
Alonso, he's been in other movies before too.
dude,
He
Laz
was in the
Alonso, I
was
love.
he was in that last movie with by Gary Weiss movie, wasn't it? With the bank one, the vault. What was it called? The armored car one. With what's his name? Jason Statham. Remember he was the
Oh,
getting
I haven't
revenge
seen
on it.
that yet. Is that the
Yeah, the Wrath of
Wrath of
Man.
Man? I need to
Laz
see that.
Alonso's in there.
Oh, that's cool. I really, as I'm watching this show, I'm like, why is this guy not doing more stuff? Like,
Yeah.
he's got a really good screen presence. All the
Well,
actors are good in this show, but there's one thing being a good actor, but sometimes you don't fit in a lot of things. Like the guy that plays Frenchie does a fantastic job as Frenchie, but it's not like he can just play tons of parts, I don't think. Um, I
we
think
had
there's
Sean in here too. Lamplighter. All these shows. Going through here. I'm just saying. Chantel Van Santen. She was in. She was in the CW Flash show season. Remember? She was Patty.
I try to forget.
She was the girl that Barry was dating before he got married to Iris. She was a cop.
Yeah,
She was also in Shooter, the TV series. She played the wife.
yeah, didn't watch it.
Oh, and then she was also in a CW show. I'm pretty sure she might have been in One Tree Hill. I'm not sure. But she's been, yeah, and so say you got some big names in here. Not really big, huge names, but like Colby Minfinite, or Menifee, when it played Ashley, the CEO Ashley. She was the villain on the Fear the Walking Dead 2 seasons ago, and then she was also in Jessica Drew, or not Jessica Drew, Jessica Jones. She was the neighbor, the little bitch neighbor, the one that thought they usually boss. Jessica Jones just basically put her in her place and told her to shut the fuck up. Uh, Juan Carlo Esposito, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul.
Juan Carlo's
Uh,
great. He's getting a little overused though. It's
he's in the
almost like
movie.
everyone wants to use him. Like, oh, we have a villainous character. Call Juan Carlo. It's like he
Better
plays
Call-
everything. It's like
Well,
getting a little too
it's like
much.
he's like Morgan Freeman, man. He doesn't need him in the movie. It makes it better.
Uh,
So
I would like to see Juan Carlo play something out of type though, because he's playing the same character, right? It always feels like he's playing the Breaking Bad, the forgot the character's name in Breaking Bad, but it always feels like it's that character.
Gus Fringe, yeah, Gustavo Fringe or Gus.
Gus, yeah, yeah. The every even in like the Mandalorian, it's like, oh look, you're Gus Fringe again.
You
And
know
even
though,
in the video game that he played when they put him in, what was it, Far Cry 5? Same again, same character. It's like,
if it sells, it sells. That's the one thing because pretty soon people are probably gonna forget about him.
yeah, but
You
that's what
gotta
I'm saying is I would like to see them cast him like out of character type, like it's like a totally different character, so that you can show like he can be other things. Because if you just make him the same thing, people are going to get tired of that character and not want to see it more. And I think he's a cool actor and he's got a good screen presence, and I'd like to see him do more stuff. But I just don't want to see him be pigeonholed.
It's been that way since 2008. 2008. So it's like
Yeah,
I don't think he's gonna do much more. Because his big breaking role was what was you know Breaking Bad. Gus Gustavo. I mean, Jonathan Banks is another person that He's the one that plays Mike on that show. He's always played those kind of characters. He's been a TV show actor.
he needs
So I mean,
Gus. That actor Juan Carlo needs to play like a good guy.
right?
That's would be perfect if you had a story where the character was supposed to be like the audience was supposed to think that the character's evil, but the twist is he's actually good. He would be a good character, like because you would just totally buy. Like you would immediately be like, "Oh, is Juan Carlo? He's evil. Yeah, he's totally evil." Like you just.
And if
So
you
if he turns out to be good, then you'd be like, "What?
are
No."
you caught up on Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul?
I've seen all of Breaking Bad, but not. I haven't watched any Better Call Saul.
Okay, in Breaking Bad, I'm pretty sure they reveal that he has a partner, right? Did they reveal that at all? The show?
I don't think so. Not that I
Okay.
remember.
Just give you okay, but yeah, I'll just say that he's a character that you can and even through Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, you know very little about his character, but you don't need to know about his character, and that's kind of characters he plays, like Edgar. What he plays in this. He plays Stan Edgar. I don't need to know his backstory, but they showed it in the backstory because in line with Soldier Boy and all that. But other than
Yeah,
that, I was like, I didn't. I'm just kind of glad. It's like I said and that's the kind of storytelling you kind of need. Not everybody needs to have an origin story episode. I
no, I
hate that when they do.
agree. I'm completely happy. The Stan Edgar character is great. I don't fault the boys for how they used him. I just think that we don't necessarily need to keep casting Juan Carlo Esposito in the same role over and over and over. Like everyone's trying to like, well, let's put Gus in our movie. Like our show can have Gus too. Like it's like, come on, guys. It's- we could do other things.
Yeah,
Maybe.
it just seems like he's in those roles though. Maybe he was in the
I
Jungle
get. I
Book.
mean, like you hit the nail on the head. It sells, right? That's why people get typecast, right? Like after Die Hard, Bruce Willis was constantly playing that same type of character over and because that's what was sold. Like people forget, like Bruce Willis came from like comedies and other things. Um,
Oh, maybe you can get your wish. He's gonna be in the new Jigsaw TV series.
uh,
It's Leo Pep. But yeah, he was in before he was in is Godfather of Harlem. I don't know if he was a congressman, Adam Clayton Powell, in that show. It's in 2019. But
so
trying to look.
where do you think this show is going to go?
Ah, you can go right into the pisser. I don't know. Hopefully not.
I mean,
It's like I
I'm
said.
not predicting. Like, do you have any expectations of where the story is going to go? Like,
My
uh,
biggest thing is that everybody's a fan of time jumps now. I think they're gonna make the kid be out to be the villain. He's not gonna go against Homelander. He's already signed with Homelander, so you might get
they
an
can't
age.
time jump. They can't time jump because Butcher's on a limited time. Remember, he's only got
True
12 to 18 months to live. They can't be like 5 years later.
that we know of.
I guess anything's possible when they're writing, but it seems very unlikely.
No, no, they're very particular.
Not to
Did not
mention
leave.
they're going to want to use the kid, right?
Yeah,
So at
yeah,
most they're going to time jump however long it is in real life because the problem with using kids in a show is that they actually age, right? And especially when you hit those teenage years, like the growth becomes really noticeable, like in Stranger Things. Like, hey, look, you're like preteen. Whoa, shit, you grew 6 inches. You know, now you went, your voice dropped. It's like there's like these noticeable things, and so if it takes them a year to do the boys, that kid is probably going to have some noticeable changes.
here's a good thing. The boys have already started filming for
Good,
season 4. Carl Urban revealed that a couple days ago.
good.
You know, so hopefully it comes out the same time as it did this year. And just stick to that. So I have at least we have expectation, so we can mark on our calendars. None of this where it got pushed back 2 years. You know, hate that. Um, I don't know. I mean, Soldier Boys is literally on back on ice. Get it,
Yeah,
Captain America back on
yeah.
ice.
Oh yeah.
uh,
Miss So says that she thinks Ryan is going to be the new baddie. I'm
that's
not
what I'm thinking.
convinced. I'm not convinced. I think Ryan might more be like a catalyst. Like I think Ryan might be the character that needs to be saved, like redeemed.
I don't. I mean, I want to say that if this show ever does end, you might have Annie. You're gonna have Annie and Huey. They might adopt the kid. I mean, if that's the case, they might adopt Ryan if Homelander dies. But then again, Ryan can be so far gone they have to kill him too.
Could
Or
be.
or they do the cliche ending where Homelander is gonna kill Butcher, and for whatever reason they build it up. That he basically turns on Homelander in order to save Butcher, and Homelander kills Ryan. Something like that.
I have a hard time seeing a way that they can make Ryan the true like a true villain. Like
Yeah.
making him an antagonist, I could see, but just think about the villains, right? They all have to pretty much die. In this show, they die pretty gruesome, and I just don't see them like showing a kid even on streaming service like getting just mutilated. I could be wrong, but I just don't. I don't even think even Amazon's like, yeah. Um,
You
I think
don't kill.
that you're really gonna risk some of your audience. I think if you're like, yeah, let's tell a show where the kid is the villain.
Yeah.
Could be. I have no idea. And you know what? The show is always surprising me, so I'm probably wrong by the fact that I feel like I'm making this prediction, but I feel like he'll be kind of going down the road of being bad, getting in the influence of his father, and the plot will be kind of like how do we save him from that? How do we like get rid of Homelander and somehow redeem the kid? Maybe something like
Yeah, I
maybe
mean, the kid's
maybe Butcher lays down his life because we don't. This show's gonna have an ending, right? It's like the
bunch of
comics are open
there's
ended,
no
but the show could have a final season, and if the final season they could kill Butcher, and what if Butcher like does this heroic act essentially, like lays there is no greater
right now, I think that actually to think it back, the season 4, they already said the season 4 is big bad is gonna be Victoria Newman, head popper. And then
she can't be the big bad.
you know what? That's what I said about CEO Ashley when I was watching Fear the Walking Dead, and then she became the big bad after seeing her being the little twerp, knowing twerp and Jessica Jones. So
Yeah, I
I mean,
just after Stormfront last season, Homelander this season, Head Popper next season, that just doesn't make sense. Like she will be a bad. I don't think she'll be the prime bad. She'll be one of the bad guys, but not the major threat. That's my prediction. I think that
or
would
the
be I think people would be disappointed if
yeah.
she well, Homelander clearly still the main bad. I mean, he's still around. So she's going to be under his shadow. I can't yeah. I think she'll be a plot point that they have to stop her, but I don't see her being the prime
Well,
antagonist
the only
against the
the
boys.
only I think yeah, they'll have her, yeah, but you're gonna So I mean, for season 4, you're gonna have to have some new way to kill Homelander. Because that's what, and then I guarantee you, as soon as Homelander is killed in the show, though, that's when the show ends. Because you lose your ultimate threat.
Well,
So
unless you can find a way to replace it.
yeah, and that's the thing. I thought Soldier Boy would have been the person to replace him.
And he
The
still
fact he
could
could
be.
take,
He's still alive.
but
I do think but I think you're probably right. I think Homelander lives until the very end. I just
oh, I don't think the Deep's gonna survive next season. I think he's gonna get killed. A Train might die too. Ashley as well. I mean, you're gonna see him cleaning
yeah, but
house.
those aren't prime villains, right? Yeah, I mean those
I
are
know,
just
I know,
fodder.
I know, I
They're
know.
gonna they're gonna be
We might
picked off here and there as
we might get new loyal people. He chooses to be loyal to him.
there's a lot more characters to go through as well. The
Yes.
boys started off being sort of a satire of the Justice League in the DC universe, but in the stories they do analogs for many other characters, as we saw Soldier Boy is an analog for Captain America. There's an Iron Man analog. Um, we haven't even seen. I used to think that Black Noir was kind of like Batman, and I think that that's true because he's part of the Seven. But there's another character that's also very kind of like Batman that we haven't seen. We haven't seen the Teen Titans. Um,
That's the other thing too. There was the other thing. I thought Herogasm was at first, but then I realized that no, that's not what Herogasm was. But there is a in the comic books, they have the Young Justice team. They're basically
yeah,
Teen Titans of Earth. And the boys being all souped up took him on in the comic books. But and Huey made his first kill. But in the show though, not that the temp V's gone now. That's what they would have used a temp V in the comic books. They use a temp V in order to take out.
but
But
they don't have Tim V in the comic books.
wait, you're right. It wasn't temp V. They actually used compound V in
Yeah.
there. But that was in the one volume I read, and I said they're going so far from the comic books. So just because you would use using the comic books,
Oh yeah, you can't go by the
no,
comic books. The only thing I was saying is just more of that characters exist that they could mine from.
they could just create up whole new characters if they really wanted to at this
They
point.
they, they could, but
Yeah,
what my point is if you've got a whole thing of characters that Garth Ennis already created, you
yeah,
can throw those in there. Which
true.
which they've done with Stormfront and Soldier Boy and
Soldier Boy was cause really changed. He's the complete opposite he was in the comic books. Totally different.
right.
They totally wrapped him up.
The show is way different. They're the show's trying to do something different than the comic books are doing. So it's
Which I
inevitable.
usually hate, But when you make a character better in the show than he was in the comic books, give you props to that. Not to say that the character wasn't great to begin with, but if you can just take that and just take it a different direction, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so refreshing, and it's actually kind of cool.
That is
See,
true. If you're gonna adapt something, if you're gonna make changes, make them better.
yeah,
Um, that's why I like the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. A lot of people are like, "Oh, this is different, and that's different." Blah blah blah. Bane was never part of the, and I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but it worked. It was really good." Like,
I didn't, I didn't
what
say in
can I
the ending
say?
that was a permanent thing where he was gonna be quit being Batman. I didn't
Well,
like that, but
well,
other
that's only
those
because
are
the movie's over. Like it's in like comic books that would never happen
if
unless
they
it's a
made a
Tom
fourth,
King comic. But it
if
would it
Christopher came back with Christian Bale and did another trilogy, yeah, he'd be back to being Batman. He's like, sorry, Selena, duty calls.
yeah. But
Gotham is
Christopher Nolan's not going to come back. He told the end of his story, and we got an ending. So I was more than
Christian Bale.
okay with it because it's over. The story's over.
There was a recent interview with Christian Bale when he was talking about the God Butcher stuff for Thor. He said he said I only way to come back if Christopher Nolan comes back. But he said he would do it. Yeah, if Christopher Nolan came back, he said he'd be Batman again.
Sure.
So
That's
I'm
not.
like,
It's not going to happen though.
come on, Nolan.
I mean,
I need my older Batman back. You know,
nope. It's not going to happen. What they should do, because Christopher Nolan really, really, really wants to do it. It's his dream project. Is he wants to do James Bond. What they should do is give Christopher Nolan a James Bond trilogy. If you told me, if I had the rights to James Bond, and you told me, hey, Christopher Nolan wants to do James Bond, it's like his dream project, I would
who's
be like,
getting
call him now. Like, I don't understand what it is with MGM that's just like, no, no, dude, it's like, get Christopher Nolan. Did you see what he did with Batman? Did you see? Like, and then I've always said that Christian Bale would be a good Bond. So
Yep.
get Christian Bale do Bond trilogy. Boom, done. And if anyone
Right.
goes, "Oh, Ash, he would not be a good James Bond," I'll be like, "Did you see Christian Bale play Dick Cheney? Bale played Dick Cheney. Christian Bale can play anybody." It's,
Did you see Dana Carvey play Bush Senior? He could play anybody.
I saw the
True.
preview to the Dick Cheney movie, and I was like, "Oh wow, that guy looks kind of like Dick Cheney." I was pretty impressive. Like, and then at the end, it was like Christian Bale. I was like, "What?"
Well, you knew Christian Bale was gonna sell it. Look, he's committed. Look, he did for the Machinist.
Yep. Oh
Oh,
yeah.
that's such a disgusting movie.
Watch The Fighter too. He's amazing in The Fighter.
But
Um,
we're
but
we're we're going off weeds into the
oops, weeds. Well, folks. I'm not seeing any more questions or comments. Jimmy had made a comment earlier that I had skipped. I didn't mean to. But he had said it would not be a mistake to kill him. Um, speaking of Homelander, because Soldier Boy could be the evil Captain America. So
Hell Hydra.
right.
uh,
My
yeah,
only problem with that is how, as much as I enjoyed Soldier Boy in this season for his part, I don't think Soldier Boy had like the charisma he's not wasn't as compelling of a character the way like Homelander is. He's
Mary
more
is
of
unhinged.
he's just a
Where
force. He's like the Hulk. You're
yeah,
just like, oh, we gotta stop this force. But Homelander is just so interesting and like, yeah, he,
Hol- Homelander is like Zod in a sense. He is he's insane, but he's also like tactical. You know, a little bit. At least he's showing a little bit. But where we have what's his name is kind of like Lex Luthor in a sense. That's Soldier Boy. You know,
you compared Soldier Boy to Lex Luthor.
in a sense that he is a sense unlike Homelander, he's not unhinged as much as Homelander is. So he's more rational, and he
Ah,
just wants he's like they showed him in Black Noir's flashback. I'm in charge. You don't like it? Too bad. It's all about me.
yeah.
But he wasn't like
Homelander is just a pure sociopath. Like just if you took a
Yeah,
sociopath and put him with Superman's powers, boom.
yeah,
Just
yep.
uh oh, it's scary. Miss So is telling us to have a good night. She's gonna stop by the auction on Saturday, which I'll just take as an opportunity to plug Englantine's auctions. Saturday nights. What time is it? Like 6 Pacific? What time do you guys start over there?
9 p.m. Eastern.
9 p.m. Eastern. So that would be
So,
8, 7, 6. Yeah, 6 p.m. Pacific.
yep.
Um, and it's like a discount auction. If you are into buying comics for cheap, you're not looking for super expensive, key titles, but you're just like, I want to get a good bargain. If you like hunting bargain bins, but you don't like driving out of your house, you can just hang out online. We hang out and chat on Saturday nights. People get comics for cheap, and I got a really good deal last week, so I'm going to be looking to possibly get a few more to fill out my box because you can get your
Mhm.
box will hold so many comics, so I haven't filled it up. And yeah, come by and have fun. Bid or just hang out with us. And
Yeah, you get good books and cheap conversation.
um,
It's like going on an online date. Yeah, not fun.
Ronnie
But
had a comment that got missed. Oh, she commented on the dogs, the dog pissing. It was on the screen right now. As a matter of fact, I think the dog
uh,
pissing on Homelander's foot. She said that's how she feels about the modern comics today.
oh yeah, yeah, his dog, his bulldog.
Yeah. And then the picture of Butcher with his middle finger up like there. That's how I feel about Marvel and DC.
Every time I see that, I just get flashbacks to Pixel's long fingers. 'Cause look how freakishly long that finger is when you see it pop up again.
I
That
feel like you
for
got a
both.
finger fetish. You're always talking about his fingers.
Oh, no. Actually, no, I don't have a finger. Look how freakishly long that is. That is not his real finger. If that is, well, it's really, really long.
All right.
You know,
I don't
Pixel's got
know.
big.
I don't have a finger fetish, so I don't.
You know what, Ash? Hey, they have a finger fetish.
It's okay to have a finger fetish. I mean, some people have got like foot fetishes, so
Fingers are so much better though.
at least you don't have other kinds of. I mean, there's all sorts of. You could have a furry fetish.
Don't shame what you don't if you've never tried.
All right. Well, folks, we have reached the end of this debacle. Thank you for joining us and listening. Hopefully, you enjoyed the boys as much as we did. I cannot wait for season 4. It's going to be an agonizing long wait. Um, would you say, how would you rate this? Would this show make your top 5
For the year,
of just shows that are like
of
current?
what I've watched so far this year, this would be my top 5 right now. I have other few other ones in here, but I haven't really been watching a lot of shows this year that that came on. I watched The Boys. I watched Umbrella Academy season 3 came out this year. I haven't watched Stranger Things. It doesn't really catch my fancy, catch my eye as much.
Have you seen any
Well,
of Stranger Things?
yeah,
Oh, okay. At
I've
least
seen
you've tried it.
I've seen 1 through 3 or whatever they're on 4. I think these are on
The
now.
4th season is the new one.
Yeah, so I've seen 1 through 3, but it's just there's such a huge gap in between the seasons.
Yeah, you just don't like those time jumps.
Well, is there a time jump?
I don't know. I would assume so after how the way season 3 ended.
I don't know. I just know the kids get older and depending on how long it waits. So I'm still 17 years old, dude. You're 35. COVID pushing everything back. The kids get old. Yeah. So that was with me watching Teen Wolf on MTV. Like everybody's like in their late 20s. And they're playing teenagers.
Oh man.
So
Uh,
I
well,
would right now I would say this is probably one of the best shows on television other than The Old Man.
is Old Man really that good, or you just like pulling my chain?
Really love it, dude. Rob loved it too, and Robzilla.
Oh, he hates
It takes
everything.
It has 2 dogs in there too. They're happy
Oh,
dogs,
I'm
man.
sold. I need to find a way to watch it because I
Yeah.
wasn't sure. Like you tend to like you like a lot of things, and so
There are some things, yes, you don't
w-
like, but this is something I
when
think
you
you would
say that
like.
it's good, if you say that a lot of things are good, I'm like, well, how good is it really? Like, is it good? Like pretty good,
Like
or is
John
it
Wick.
like when you say it's like number 2 good, I'm like, "Oh, that's different."
Did you like
That's
John Wick
I like John Wick.
movie?
Yeah, yeah.
He's brought back into it. This is basically this guy. He's brought back into something, and now that he's being hunted. He's on the
Alright.
run. He's got 2 dogs with him that will murder people on command.
Is it better than
There you go.
Bosch?
Well, they're 2 entirely different shows. Bosch is actually the guy trying to solve murders while dealing with
Well, that doesn't
politics.
matter. Is it better? Which one's the
I
better show?
I would say, man, right now I like him equally. I've only
Alright.
watched, um, I said I'm not a huge Jeff Bridges fan, but seeing him in this kind of role, like kind of like the Baba Yaga kind of character with all these different identities, like and just be able to fight and stuff, it's winning me over, man.
Well, I
It's
really wanna give the show a chance. Like I said, I just don't have Hulu.
oh, well, you have Amazon Prime, so watch Bosch. Bosch is a good show.
I am gonna watch Bosch. In fact, that was on my next list until the Terminal list came out, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta watch that because that's what everyone's talking about."
Let me know when you watch Bosch. We can do reviews, brother.
Oh, we'll get tons of viewers on the Bosch reviews.
We'll bring Breen over because he's about the same age as Crate and Barrel. They're on that show. These 2 guys, they're funny. The whole cast is great. Um,
Yeah, I'm looking forward. Everyone says good things about Bosch. I'm just expecting Bosch to be like one of those like, yeah, it's a pretty
oh,
good show. Like
that
I'm not.
dude, that I'll just say that's what I thought, and I was Pixel. Pixel said he'd watch Bosch, and that's kind of what sold me because I know like, Breen says like, "Oh, I love the Shield." I didn't care for the Shield.
Oh, dude, The
Uh,
Shield's like one of my favorite shows of all time.
but I love Justified, and I have not watched Longmire, so I was like, and I haven't watched Yellowstone or this, so I was like, Breen's like, "Oh, watch Bosch," so I was like, you know what? It's on Amazon Prime. Wait, 7 seasons? So I watched the first episode, and I was like, by the second episode, I was completely hooked. I was like, this is not what I expected it to be. It's not a cop procedural show, and it's just a guy. He's just former military. He's just trying to solve murder. And I love it. He's just written so great. Even the intro is like little jazz intro, and like I love every character about everything about his character. Everyone that's around him, supporting cast is just awesome.
Well,
And his
if
character,
if Bosch is as good as Reacher, I'll be satisfied.
I want to. Well, Reacher has only had 1 season.
That's fine. I mean, I can. It's enough to judge if you can do one season good. If the first
I
season if the first season of Bosch is as good as the first season of Reacher, I'll be satisfied.
I would go on a limb to say that they're probably the same as far as
Because that's kind of what I'm expecting. I liked Reacher quite a bit, but I
Right.
didn't think Reacher was astounding. Like I think The Boys is astounding.
The
Like,
Bosch has underlying tone as far as like there's the main story and then there's a subplot that carries across 3 seasons. And you find a little more information as you go through each season about that case that cold case he's trying to solve. So Reacher is a little bit more like the boys, in my sense, the insane action in this. Where Bosch is he does gets in some scraps. He does get here. He's always getting in trouble with his captain because he's basically he's like I because he breaks the rules. They want him. Oh, you lift your partner and do this. He's like, no. What am I want to do? Let the bad guy get away because of the procedure? No, that's crap. And I love how he talks back to his superiors and he gets the job done. So in that sense, so it's a little slower pace than Reacher, but once you get into it, man, it's just like I can't stop watching the show.
oh yeah,
So
that reminds me. Before we finally put a nail in this coffin, we went way
40
too
minutes.
long. Um, I did not expect to go this long, and if anyone's even listening at this point, are we still doing the Monday night?
I believe so. Yeah, talking about the
All
boys.
right, so we're gonna shut this stuff down to now, but come back Monday night, same time, 9 p.m. Pacific for debut episode. We'll call it the pilot episode of Late Night Comics with Venkman and Ash, and where we're gonna be actually reading the boys. Not live. We're not gonna read it live, but we are gonna read it and discuss the comics. We're going to go through just one trade at a time. So if you're interested in following along, it'll be spoiler discussion. We'll be talking about the books. So the first 6 issues or the first volume of the trades, not the omnibus, the trades. Um, if you have Comixology, you can get them all, read them for free or with your subscription. Or you can just pick them up, and they're not expensive. And yeah, come on. And we're going to talk about other comics and just different things, pop culture stuff. It's going to be kind of a variety thing. And so that's it. Anything to add?
I would say call us the AV Club. There you go.
AV Club. Oh, that's not bad. You might be onto
Uh,
something.
I'm on something.
All
All
right.
right. See you guys later.
All right. Good night.